Hey everyone, it's Karen Laws, the interior dog trainer, back at you again with another podcast. I'm so excited. I don't know about you, but I struggle to get this podcast off the ground. And if you're thinking about podcasting and you just don't know where to begin, I'm so excited. I have David Joyce in the house today, and he's going to tell us about all those things and answer everything we need to know about podcasting, how to make it comfortable, how to get it started, what we need to go. And welcome, David.
Hey, Karen. Thanks for having me.
Great. Good to see you.
Yeah.
Man, oh man, you've been so helpful to me. I'm so excited that you actually agreed to take some time out of your busy schedule and join us so we can talk to the group. I've got a few questions here, and hopefully that
Okay.
will people get off on the right track. And at any point, if you want to stop and say, "Hey, that's not the way we do it over here," then feel free. You're the guy because I lean on you for everything. And once again, not only does a podcast manager have to know what they're doing, you have to be patient for people like me that know little to nothing and ask a million questions and then forget what the answers were almost within the day. So thank you.
I got my director's hat on, so I'm ready to stop if we need to.
Okay. And I can imagine it really must be at times you have the patience, of Job, so to speak. And so I have to ask you, what inspired you to go down this road to get involved with podcasting? And why do you think it's such a valuable tool these days, specifically for dog trainers in a crowded market looking to grow their business?
Okay. So right off the hop, I'm going to tell you one of the great things about a podcast is um, speaking of rabbit holes, I could go down this giant rabbit hole and explain to you how I got into podcast starting from when I was 6 years old and take a half an hour to explain it all. But the magic of a podcasting is we can edit all that out if we want to. So
Modern technology, you got to love it. Yeah.
that's right. So I'm just going to give you the Coles notes on what got me started was there was a podcast called Serial, which was kind of the one that kind of really got things going. And it was like a kind of like a true crime thing where it was they would drop weekly episodes and it was a mystery and you had to keep listening to it to find out what happened. And it really caught the world by storm. And it's still, even though it was one of the originals, it's still one of the most popular podcasts that was ever out there.
Mhm.
Um, and then a gentleman by the name of Mark Maron, who's a very funny comedian. I'm a big fan of his. He started a podcast years and years and years ago. So anytime I'm driving or if I need distraction, I turn Mark Maron on, and he's very entertaining and very funny. I get a lot of laughs and I get a good recharge out of listening to him. So that leads to me opening a recording studio. And in this day and age, recording music is, it's one of my passions, but it's it's not enough uh, in a studio to sustain itself anymore because the music industry has changed so much and people can record from home and stuff like that. But when they need a professional, I'm here. But I knew that I needed to offer more services. So I do pretty much anything audio, video here, which a podcast can be both audio and video. So when I opened the studio, I decided to do a season of my own podcast called It Happened in Ontario.
Mhm.
And I interviewed some people and I learned how to edit. I learned how to keep good content flowing from start to finish. And then I was able to offer those services here.
Cool. And I did forget at the beginning, what is exactly the name of your studio and where are you located? In case people want to know.
It's called Treblecock Studio. Treblecock is a good conversation starter, but it doesn't have that much of a story other than it's my favorite brand of coffee.
I've wondered
Yes,
about that. Where did that come from? Okay, I didn't know
yeah,
there was such. I'm not a coffee drinker that much,
yeah,
so I wouldn't know.
it's a Welsh family opened a coffee brewing company down the street from me, and I just love the name.
Oh, neat.
So yeah,
They start
that's
the name.
simple.
Oh, okay,
Um,
pretty easy.
yeah,
Yep.
downtown Peterborough,
Hmm.
and I have a studio. It's called Downtown and Underground because I'm in a lower level. I've been here for 5 years. I
Mm.
celebrated 5 years in June.
Wow, cool.
Yeah.
So I contacted you through a friend because I just was literally beside myself with people coming at me from all directions saying, where's your podcast? How come you don't have a podcast? We want to hear about podcasts, because my main theme, in addition to being a dog trainer, is I teach dog trainers how to be successful in business, because many dog trainers see themselves as givers. They don't think
Right.
about the entrepreneurial spirit. They don't think about making money at it, because let's face it, who isn't passionate about working with dogs when you've got a dog gene in your genetic makeup? So
Exactly.
my mission was to, not only have I been training dogs for over 40 years, I wanted to take the stuff that I've learned in business and teach dog trainers how to be successful in business, in addition to being great at dog training. And
Right.
podcasting, and this is like, to us, it's noise. It's like, what are the essentials? So for those that are completely new to podcasting, and of course, there's more people coming on stream all the time, what would you
Yeah.
say are the essential steps that they need to get started?
Uh, the essentials are, first of all, to know your skills, I think. If you can see yourself sitting in front of a camera and speaking, that's pretty huge, right? Not everybody can
Very.
do it. I mean, I think actually everybody can do it once you wrap your head around it. Like,
Mhm.
whether you have a guest or not, or you're just speaking, I think we all have that ability. Know uh, your team skills. So, as an entrepreneur myself, I dabble in all things audio and video, right? So it's not just capturing audio. It's
Mhm.
the best way to capture audio. It's editing audio. It's making audio sound good. And the same with video. It's capturing, it's editing, and then putting it all together into a finished product. Now that's where I find a lot of entrepreneurs probably don't have the time to learn that skill set, because uh, you're lucky if you get 6 hours sleep a night, never mind learn new skills. So, um,
Nailed it.
yeah, that's right. So if you have a team,
Yeah.
and somebody might be good at doing basic editing for you, or somebody else, might be good with the social marketing and stuff like that. You do, if you don't have the time and the skills, do it all yourself. You need a team. So
Mhm.
whether that's internal or external, in your case, you came external to me, and I'm helping you out there. That was good of you to acknowledge that, hey, I should do this thing, but I need some help.
But
So
I can't. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
so
Well,
that's where I come in. It's all about yeah, just getting to know your skills. Um, the One of the great things about a podcast, both audio and visual, is they're probably one of the most affordable methods of marketing you have, right? We all generally have the equipment. We're on Zoom right now. Zoom is an incredible service. It's got good audio, it's got good video. It sends you the audio and video separately. It's, right? It's a beautiful thing. And there's the free version. If you have longer podcasts like you do, if they reach up into an hour, it's a very cheap, affordable subscription service.
mhm.
Um, and I don't know if either one of us are using any external equipment right now.
No,
Everything's right off the laptop.
I did invest in a really expensive microphone, and then I upgraded my computer, and they're not compatible. So now I have to wait till my next computer upgrade to see if that microphone's going to come back to me.
Right.
Work.
Well, yeah, and the cool thing about laptops is they have decent cameras, they have decent microphones in them.
Yeah.
When with your podcast, I just add a little bit of EQing and a little bit of compression at the end, and we don't need the really expensive podcast
Yeah.
mics and cameras and stuff like that.
Right.
It's today's technology is everything's at our fingertips.
And the other cool thing that you referred to was Zoom. I remember I heard about you as a podcast manager through a friend of mine who comes into your studio every day, or every time she's launching a podcast. And she has a great podcast, but my Chez Fleur, by the way, is the name of it. But I think that's what it's called. But my self-limiting belief, if you like, and everyone has them, was, oh my God, you mean gotta go. I live in the country. I live far away from where you are. 45 minutes is far enough away. Do I have to go in there all the time? So we had that conversation.
Yeah,
And one of the things you mentioned just now was like the whole world went into Zoom during the pandemic. So there was some good things that came out of the pandemic. But
that's
I
right.
do have to say, we know we don't have to be in the studio, but it's so much more fun. It's fun. I have been to the studio a couple times. It's so much more fun, but just
Yeah,
for people's, benefit, they don't have to do that. But if they have the option to every now and then pop into a professional studio to get that done, it really does. I find, I mean, I do a lot of live videos, but when I was in your studio, I had to go through the deer in the headlight moments. So
yeah.
it was really that kind of intimidation factor. But what a great opportunity if people have it to help overcome that.
Yeah, absolutely. You were talking about Janet, the Shady Fleur podcast. Uh,
Mhm.
Janet, her needs are she wants to come in, sit down, knock out a great podcast, and go back to work. Right?
Mhm.
She doesn't have
Mhm.
to worry
Not
about
have
lighting.
anybody.
She doesn't have to worry about internet. She doesn't have to worry about getting a Zoom link to the guest. I do that for her. She literally comes in, sits down, takes a big breath, and then she does a podcast and she leaves. So
Cool.
that's a great thing about coming into the studio.
Mhm.
But like you, I love your background, what you got there. You've got good lighting. Yeah, there's no reason that you have to come into a studio. It's more of a need thing or a want even, right?
Mhm.
I can create any background for the guest and stuff like that. I can help them set up the link for their guests if they have a guest,
Mhm.
which most people do nowadays in the podcast world. They have a guest, and so yeah, but um, it is it doesn't matter where you are. You can
Right.
record a podcast from home. And the best part is you can interview anybody around the world.
Well,
So
that's the
that's
other thing.
cool.
You don't have to have those days where everybody can coordinate their travel plans to get to some common destination. It's the world of Zoom and Google Meet and all of those other technology advancements that have really, really made the world a small place.
That's right. It's funny. Janet had she interviewed a young lady from Australia, so we were in the studio here at 7:30 in the morning, and so that we could accommodate her guest. And I think it was at
Right.
7:30 at night or something like
Right
that
over
that she
there.
was being
Yeah, for
interviewed.
sure.
So, but yeah, anywhere in the world, there is no limit.
You touched on a couple of things also about team. And one of the things because I had such a mental block to this, I initially I do have a team, and what for the first part of it was editing the videos. I do a lot of videos. That's a full-time job. Finally
Yep.
had to got so busy. I have a video editor. And then just getting my calendar organized and where's room in my schedule because I just finished with a dog training client and then I jump into this and I have another dog training client coming in. So how do managing your calendar becomes a full-time thing. So now I have an admin person that does all that, schedules all that sort of thing for me. She just tells me where to be when. But the video editing, the admin person, and then someone that can do a decent job of editing. And sometimes they can be multiple roles for the same person. But I think that's a key point that many, many, many dog trainers, especially when they're just starting out, they don't have the resources. But then there's a fine line of when is it all about dog trainers by nature are often control freaks. There's no one that can do anything in their business like them because they're dealing with lives and they're dealing with family members. And so they want to make sure everything's done just right. And it's hard to
Yep.
let go of that mindset when you shift into something like this, like a podcast that needs help and guidance and bigger expertise than what a dog trainer has. I mean, some very few dog trainers are savvy enough to be fully technically adept and be able to edit and shoot podcasts and understand it and train dogs very, really well at the same time and have the time to do all that. So that's why the team you touched on that is really important. I
Yeah.
could not do this without my team. I just
Right.
couldn't. And it doesn't have to be. I think the thing that people that swamps people again, the world has become a small place that overwhelms them is and this side of the pond, we have priced ourselves out of existence when it comes to wages, particularly in this province where the minimum wage can bankrupt a small
Yeah.
business owner like a dog trainer. But there
Yep.
are virtual options that are far very effective and in my opinion, my experience, far more acceptable because you can hire a virtual assistant to help with all of this stuff. And they're excellent when you have the right source to help you hire them. And they'll take care of all that. And you don't have to have them, you don't have to create an office space for them. You don't have to pay them when they're not working. And you
That's
don't have
right.
to worry about any of the other administrative bureaucracy stuff that goes with having an on-site staff person. So it's the team aspect, I think, is critical to that, whether you want
Yes,
them for just the admin part or you want them to do all the editing to say, okay, now we're just going to launch it.
that's right. And there's so many other things that we don't think of. Right now, people can see the frame that we are framed in. That was something I come up with. I had to learn how to do on the fly. I do a podcast. It's actually more of a video podcast. It's called Lacrosse Link. It's about lacrosse, and it's broadcast around the world. And so they wanted these nice frames and everything, and we do a rundown. So it's the top 6 things of the week, and I had to learn how to do all these animations and stuff like that. So I'm coming with a skill set that I had to learn, right? So you have the full product. And then also you have to make sure there's a lot of podcasts out there, but they are incredibly popular. But you do have to make sure that the content from start to finish is going to keep people engaged. So you definitely, if this isn't something that you've spent a lot of time figuring out and learning, you do need the team for sure.
Yeah, and you led perfectly into my next thought, or my next question was, how is it like when podcasts started? I think I was listening to a podcast not long ago. There was a few 100,000. Well, now there's 4 million podcasts or something out in space. So how can dog trainers stand out and develop content that's engaging, like that keeps people coming back? Because there's a visual. They're not all visual. Some of them are audio only. So how can they, keep their listeners coming back? Are there specific formats or tips or things that work well? Stories versus educational content. What's your experience in the work that you've done with podcasts so far? And even the ones that you listen to that makes you think attracts listeners and keeps them coming back?
It's all about keeping engagement, right? So
How does that work? What are some of the tricks and tips to do that? It's easy when it's face to face.
I like to use the analogy of a well-written novel. An author does not put any words into his novel unless they have meaning or a purpose, right? So if you're going to create a podcast, it has to have purpose, kind of like even like a television show. You have an introduction, and most incidents you create maybe a conflict, right? Just like a TV show, you create a conflict, you work out the conflict, and then you have a great ending on to the next, right? So what I feel is a good idea is sometimes is kind of think of your podcast in sections. So you're going to have the intro, you're going to introduce any guests, you're going to talk about what this podcast is about, and then you're going to engage the audience with great content about that subject, and keep it engaging, right? You don't want to get lost and head down different avenues that don't matter to that subject. A lot of times, if people find you, they've done a Google search, right?
Okay.
So if there's a specific need they have, they want to know a dog trainer near me. They want to know a specific thing about, if my dog keeps eating the furniture. You're gonna Google how to get my dog to stop eating the furniture, and if you have that content out there, it's going to be in the Google search, right? So somebody's going to find you. They're gonna click on either your audio or video link, and they're going to learn about it. If they go in there and you end up talking about about leashes, what kind of leash a dog should have, instead of the topic that you said you were going to talk about, then people are just going to click off and go somewhere else and find that content. So Google is a beautiful thing, because it's going to give you a handshake with somebody looking for information. So you just
Mhm.
have to keep them engaged once that's done.
So how does the SEO work on an audio though? Because or does it show up in the notes? That's the, you can
Well,
say Google's, you got to
everything,
be searchable on Google. So that's SEO, right?
yeah, everything is everything has a translation attached to it now.
Transcript.
So
Okay.
yeah, everything audio and video has a transcript file in it.
Ah,
So
okay.
um so that's the least likely way they're going to probably find it, but it's going to be in your title. It's going to be in your
Hmm.
description. Every
Hmm.
audio, every podcast, video or audio, you're going to have a description in there with
Hmm.
links, and
Hmm.
you want that content to be rich with information as well, right? So,
So
um,
yeah, what you're saying. So the titles and the content need to be specific to what you're talking about, not some.
yes,
When we saw a yellow bird in the sunshine with my friend David, you can't assume that people are going to think that's a podcast about how to make podcasts. So it's got to be
no,
specific, like making podcasts at making dog podcast making for dog trainers or something that's specific. If I'm a dog trainer, I want how am I going to make a podcast? Those are the keywords that show up. That's how people are
yeah,
going to search for it. Yeah, people. I
yeah,
know a lot of not just dog trainers, a lot of business owners get caught up in trying to make some real cutesy title that has absolutely no link or no relationship with the search engine, and they just disappear into oblivion. But when you get specific, it's boring, but it's specific and that's easily found. And you can put all the fancy stuff inside once you get inside.
that's right. Another great thing about podcasts is short form and long form, right?
Oh,
So,
okay.
um, a lot of people like myself, if I'm in the mood for a podcast, I don't care if it's an hour or 3 hours long. I'm going to get into it.
Mm-hmm.
If I want to, if I'm looking to find out something quick, then I'm looking for that short form. But
Mm-hmm.
but that's another great thing is, especially with YouTube, is the podcasts can be, and it's auto generated into sections. So if you're talking about a specific thing,
Mm-hmm.
there will be a section mark on that podcast. You don't even have to create it, it's just there. So if I want to find out something specifically, I don't have to listen to the whole podcast. But however, if you're engaging, if you're telling me good stuff, chances are I'm going to stick around and listen in, right?
Right. Because I take my Instagram, I do an Instagram live every Tuesday at 5 o'clock. It's an hour
Yeah,
long, answer questions. And from people, audiences, they log in and to come into my Instagram live feed and they ask questions and I answer the questions. And then we've taken that with your help and
yeah,
turned that into a podcast. I did not realize that I don't have to do anything to flag the question content, that it's actually a physical break. My team cleans up the noise and they condense it down
yeah.
so that the ramblings are gone. But then I will repeat the question and then I will give the answer. So I did not realize that people listening to that podcast don't have to go through the whole thing. They can zero in on the specific question. Is that what you're saying? Like
Technology
with the
is
content,
incredible.
whatever the content,
Yeah,
leash pulling, jumping up, barking, biting. I did not, I just learned something new. That makes me even more excited for my Instagram lives to make them more relevant. And that was with your um, encouragement that you said, you've got all that content
yeah,
there. Why aren't we putting that in your podcast? So that was my, and that's it.
yeah,
That's more
exactly.
of training tips versus, yeah. So there's actually both elements to it. So I did not know that. Not now, and even though I was providing the content for the Instagram live, I had this doubt in my mind going, I don't know who's going to want this, but now I see, now we can market it in a whole different approach. Hey, you want those specific answers? Hop on over to my podcast, which is coming out
Yeah,
soon.
like in my case, like if I'm looking for how to use a certain music recording software, there'll often be, an hour long video on it.
Right.
But the question that I asked in Google, it will show up in a little line on the video, and it will often start the video where he talks about that specific topic that I asked Google. It's really incredible. I love it.
Yeah, I'm going to play around with that on some of the ones I listen to.
That's a
That's
big
exciting.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. So once the podcast is live, so we put all those things, we got a team, we've got the technology, we don't have to have special stuff. We drop into your studio because it's fun to do. We do that now and
Yeah.
then just to get that professional feeling. What are the key strategies then to building the audience and just getting the word out there? Like, and what are some of the common mistakes to avoid?
Right. Um, One of the biggest mistakes to avoid is giving up if you're not overnight sensation.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Is there an average number of episodes, do you think, that people have to, eh, you know,
what
kind of
I've
go through?
read and experienced is it seems to be you have to give it a couple of years.
Oh,
So,
wow.
right, yeah. So,
Oh,
and so that means a certain amount of episodes before you know if it's going to take off.
mhm.
There's a couple of reasons for that. One is obviously competition. It is so high. There's so much content out there, right? It's hard
Yeah.
to get in front of
Mhm.
people. Again, talking about the SEO, eventually that builds up, right? The more episodes you have, the more content you have in the content sections is creating SEO for you and bringing you up in the ranks.
Mhm.
Um, a very important thing, and I see this with every podcast that I do for people, you have to get your guests on there. It's just as big for them to be sharing your content as it is for you. So, um, at when we launch this podcast, I'm going to be promoting it on all my socials, right?
Mhm.
So,
Mhm.
because now we've got two different audiences that are going to be exposed to it. And so that's an
Absolutely.
important thing is to get your team putting it out there, to get your guests putting it out there. It's you know they've taken the time, they've given you their time and their knowledge and everything like that. They can most certainly give you a share on their socials, right? It's a big deal.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know it doesn't seem like it, but I'm actually an introvert. So I've been like, I would not think of asking someone to share that. Honestly, that's to me, and I know that
Right.
seems like a real basic, simple thing, but it's like, I'll say it at the end, please share this content, but I would never specifically direct my team to
Yeah.
share it, but yet they should.
And
Most of them are going to have some skin in the game. So you'd want them to
yeah.
share.
Yeah,
And
and my way of thinking is it's a no-brainer that they should be doing that, but they often don't even consider it, right? They just think,
Mhm,
oh, well, it'll get out there on its own. But,
mhm,
once it does get traction, it's a snowball effect. And
mhm,
now, the best form of sales is referrals, right? So people start talking at the dinner table about, I saw this podcast and you should watch this.
mhm,
But
mhm,
that takes time. It
mhm.
really takes time. Uh, Having a podcast go viral overnight is like winning the lottery. It just doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Takes time and effort.
Even the ones that I listen to, and I have a handful that I listen to all the time, and if you listen to them long enough, eventually you hear that story, and they'll
Yeah,
all say, "I've got 3,000,000 followers now, but it's taken me 15 years or 12 years or 10 years or 5,000 episodes," or whatever metric they use, they make it clear it wasn't overnight.
yeah,
And just like when you're I did a show on Thanksgiving Monday with CP24 on, adopting a shelter dog because the shelters are bursting at the seams right now and they can't find homes for the dogs they have. And
yeah,
I talked about 5 key mistakes that people can avoid. And one of the mistakes is that people give up too soon. They've had this
right.
dog for a month and it's still chewing on the furniture or it still doesn't like them and they take it back. With an average shelter dog, it takes 3 months minimum for the dog to just realize that now it's safe. And sometimes it
Yeah,
takes a year or longer. So my tagline there, my motto is always persistence pays. You have to be
yeah,
persistent and consistent.
that's
Is that
right.
fair? Yeah. So speaking of consistency, what in your mind is uh, the the most successful and the most effective frequency rate for getting a podcast out there?
Frequency rate, I think once a week is probably pretty good.
Okay.
Um, yeah, an episode a week keeps you fresh in people's minds. If
Mhm.
they enjoy your podcast, they're not waiting forever for it. So that's a
Right.
good thing. And
Yeah.
it's I know entrepreneurs are really busy people, but for such a good, affordable tool, you just put the time aside to do it for sure, right? Put the time aside, get one out every week. And you know, you're gonna have to put it in a nest. It's gonna have to take a while to keep the eggs warm and let it hatch. But it will pay off. And like I said, it it's a no-brainer for me just on the affordability and
Yeah.
the amount of content you can get out there so easily.
I think that's for me, I know that's been the hang up is like, oh, who really this is a dog trainer thing again too. Who really wants to hear that? And I think as you just touched on many times, the best way to find out is to just keep getting it out there. Just put the stuff out there
Yeah.
and not overthink it, not perfect it. Get a team that's going to help you with all those little glitches because many of us can take a piece of content and worry it to death for, as you know,
Yeah.
from your experience with me for years, months anyways, and often for years. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
We could
Yeah.
go on
And
and talk about this forever.
yeah. And the other thing is practice makes perfect. So, you know, don't expect to be Mark Maron or uh, I'm not even gonna say his name. The other big guy. Um, they weren't great at it overnight, right? It took time.
Right. Right.
So you just get better as you go. The less you think about what you're doing, the better you are at what you're doing.
You read my mind. I was just thinking, just don't overthink it. Just get it out there and do it.
Yeah.
And I had one of the people I work with say she doesn't even really go back and listen to her other ones. She just keeps moving forward and recognizing that there's opportunity to get better and better.
That's right.
Each one, but it's frequency. It's just like it's muscle memory and it's frequency of use and being out there all the time. That's a good point. It's a good
Yeah.
point. And then as dog trainers, of course, because well, some of them are, but I'm like super busy. Many are super busy, so we have to set that time aside and make sure and do some prep. One of the things I've just realized lately, just learned, is that AI can be very helpful in creating a list of potential topics to
Yes.
speak on. And
Absolutely.
yeah, so in your experience too, you mentioned you've touched on it about interviews versus what monologues. So do you think there's a preference for one versus the other or popularity? What? Sometimes talking heads can get boring.
Um, well, it depends. I think in um it it depends on like what you're doing with this podcast.
Mm.
Obviously, having a guest on is the best way to go. You're getting uh multiple views on topics. You're getting stuff that you don't, you know, that you're getting fresh perspectives of. If you know, on the other hand, you're also very good at dog training. So for you to sit down and be and do a podcast on your own and be very specific on a subject that somebody
Mhm.
wants to learn about, that's perfectly fine.
Mhm.
Um, so, but um, you know, eventually you're going to run through your topics pretty quick, right?
Yeah, 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 yeah,
So
yeah.
so when you get a guest on, you get to kind of spitball and woodshed on topics, and somebody's coming from a perspective you never thought of,
Mhm.
uh, which is really great, and it's great for the audience too to hear that interaction, right? And
Mhm.
you know, you might be talking about you know, like I said, a certain kind of leash or something, and somebody else is saying, well, no, you should have this kind, but the audience is saying, no, I know the kind, and then right, so
Mhm.
they
Mhm.
get involved,
Yeah,
and next thing you know, you're getting an email from them and saying, hey, I heard your podcast, and I was thinking you know, you could go with this kind of leash for this reason, and then
mhm.
next thing you know, you in your next podcast, you're bringing up somebody that emailed you, and right, it's just
Exactly. Yeah, yeah. We just had
yeah.
I have a dog trainer training academy for people who are already dog trainers and want to be better or who want to be dog trainers.
Yeah.
And we just had we meet twice a year for 4 days. And it's all, I mean, these are people that are working through the course or have completed the course. And then we come together face to face to hear how they've interpreted the
Yeah.
concept skills that they've learned from me. And this weekend in particular, I had two students finally achieve their certification after almost over 2 years. It took them, working through it. And it blew me away. The way that they had taken the foundational skills and concepts that I had presented in the course and made it their own, and used
Right.
different analogies and different sort of cues that did this exactly the same thing in a
Yeah.
different way. And I just had a client here a minute ago, or before we started this, and I used one of the things that one of my students had taught on how to teach a dog to avoid distractions, to behave when
Yeah.
they see another dog or something that they're attracted to. And that came from a foundational skill that I taught in my program, and the way this student took it and dissected it and made it her own and then shared it back. Yeah. So
Yeah.
that is the advantage of an interview or of talking to somebody for sure. It's cool.
Absolutely.
All
Yep.
right. Yeah. So out of all the cool things that we've talked about, and we could go on for hours long, we want to
Yeah.
move along, but what's the most important piece of advice that you would want dog trainers to take away from our chat about the long-term benefits of investing their time and their effort into creating a podcast?
Stick with it is my biggest piece of advice. We get frustrated easily. We don't have a lot of time to I guess you could say mess around, right?
Yeah.
And because somebody might think, oh, doing a podcast that's just messing around, that's being silly. It's not.
What?
It's like I said, it's a very powerful tool and one of the most affordable.
Mhm.
And we touched on everything that it does for your business, is from SEO to learning new skills, and all on an incredible budget. But you have to stick with it. Don't get
Right.
frustrated and quit before you've really given it a good chance.
Mhm. And that's, just sort of one other step to that. That's why I find I've got a great benefit of having someone like you to bounce ideas off of and to get inspiration from it and to have those conversations about, I don't think this is going to work. And you've come back several times and said, no, 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 I've talked to people about this and I've experienced this. And so it
Yeah.
is good to have someone in your court that's got the experience that lifts you up, but also pushes you forward and keeps you moving. It's not really something that only the rare individual can actually take it from start to finish on their own. It's good to have a cheerleader in your court for sure.
Yeah. And you know what? For you had a lot of issues wondering about what your background should be,
Mhm.
right? And just so, I mean, just giving you that little bit of advice of something basic like that you have, lets you move on to your next thing, right? You
To
don't
think
have to
about
think about it anymore. You don't have to waste any time management on it.
yeah,
Move on to the next thing. And just, yeah, knock down the dominoes uh, until you're trending.
cool. Yeah, well, yeah, we're just getting started. We're launching
Yeah.
soon. And in the meantime, David, how can people contact you to learn more of your brilliance on this topic? What's the best way for them to reach you?
Treblecock.ca is my website. info@treblecock.ca. My phone number's on there. There's several different ways to get in touch with me on there. I'm happy to help out on any level whatsoever, even if you just need a pep talk to get you started. I'm all about everybody daring to create and getting out there. So on any level, I'm more than happy to help. Treblecock.ca.
Perfect. Thank you, David. Okay, folks, thanks for tuning in and for listening. And please share this podcast with all of your dog trainer friends. All ships rise in a rising tide. When you're successful, they'll be successful. So don't be afraid to share this episode, and we'll see you in the next one. I'm Karen Laws, the Interior Dog Trainer. Thanks for joining us at the Paws and Profits podcast.